Hello, Dr. Desiree Stahl, naturopathic physician. Thanks for joining me today on Keeping Health and Medicine Simplified. Today's topic is about cancer. Now, naturopaths can't treat cancer, that's what oncologists are for, but I can share my insights on what I have seen in the clinic on what works and what doesn't. Now, patients ask me about cancer all the time. They're afraid of getting cancer because their family member has it, and they ask me, is there any way I can prevent this? And I say, absolutely. So the important thing to understand when it comes to cancer is the body has numerous regulatory mechanisms that prevent your cells from turning cancerous. Then when they do turn cancerous on accident, your immune system also has regulatory mechanisms that prevents the cancer from going any further and quite frankly eliminates it when it's in the early stages. So the question is, what affects those regulatory mechanisms in the body that allows cancer to happen? So number one, there's environmental causes. Carcinogens. Everybody's heard of carcinogens. And what are they? Any chemical that prevents those regulatory mechanisms from functioning properly that increases your risk for cancer. So obviously that will include chemicals in the environment, but even just not enough nutrition. If you don't have the proper nutrition in your system, those regulatory mechanisms aren't going to function properly either. Same with the immune system. The immune system relies on healthy nutrition in order to function properly. So there's environmental causes that can affect these regulatory mechanisms. Now there's also genetic causes that can affect these regulatory mechanisms. So when the cell is dividing, if you have a genetic deficiency in a certain area that allows the cell to multiply properly, you're more likely to develop cancer later in life. So there'll be families who all suffer from the same type of cancer. But even so, even when there's a genetic factor, the stage at which these individuals develop cancer can vary drastically, and I've seen it multiple times. What I mean by that is that grandfather might have not gotten the cancer until he was 70. His son might have not gotten the cancer until he was 40, and the grandson might have gotten the cancer when he was 20. Now they're all the same genetics, but what's different between them? Their environment. That is an important factor to understand. Your environment has everything to do with whether or not you're going to get cancer or not. Now let's say you or someone that you know has cancer already. What do you do then? What I've seen in my practice is that if you catch a cancer pretty early, and this is why screening exams are so important for that, if you catch a cancer early, having the ability to remove it and use radiation and chemotherapy if necessary in the early stages can be very helpful in removing a cancer. But the important aspect of that is that once you do, unless you address the underlying causes that caused this cancer in the first place, it's only going to return a few years later. That's important. If you catch it early, remove it, but then clean up your body, clean up your nutrition, otherwise you're at risk of recurrence. Those who want to go for entirely natural treatments, I get questions like this all the time, or those of us who have had conventional treatment, chemotherapy, radiation, and cancer comes back, the only thing that I have seen work in my clinic, not that I've done this myself, but patients have done these therapies, is the Gerson therapy. And there's other variations of that out there. The Gerson therapy has been around for a long time. And the basic premise of that therapy is to flood the cells with nutrition and remove all environmental carcinogens and debris. And I have seen multiple times that that has shrunken and removed tumors. The most important when it comes to cancer is prevention. So yes, you can absolutely try to prevent cancer, and it is very successful if your regulatory mechanisms are in good working order, and that depends on good nutrition and a good environment. I hope that was helpful. Thank you for joining me today on Keeping Health and Medicine Simplified.